Kean.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I would like to thank our witnesses for their service to our country and to actions during the withdrawal in August of 2021. Like so many of you, I cannot forget the images on TV showing Afghan civilians crowding around the gates of HKIA and the aftermath of the Abbey Gate bombing, which claimed the lives of 13 American service members and 169 Afghan civilians. Despite the valiant efforts of our service members during the withdrawal and the 2 decades of American dedication and sacrifice in Afghanistan, the American people witnessed a terrible conclusion to this nation's longest war. Mr. Gunderson, I want to thank you for being here today. And during your testimony, you indicated that not a single person on your flight to Afghanistan was given the appropriate preparation for what they would encounter in Kabul. Could you speak to what were some of the impacts of this lack of preparation, what could have been done differently, and how did this compare to other deployments?
Thank you, Congressman, for the question. I think the lack of preparation came from the fact of lack of not knowing what the ground situation was going to be. I know for myself, the entire 20-hour flight over to the other side of the world was long, and I thought nonstop about what we might see, and I never predicted what was going to be on the ground. I think we didn't know what was going to be on the ground, and we just hoped for the best. Like, luckily, there were things of water and things of food that we were able to find. But without those things, like, we asked every day, like, what are we going to do when we run out of water? We didn't know. There was no plan. Thankfully, we didn't run out of food or water. Yeah, I'll send it back to you.
Okay, well, thank you. Sergeant Vargas Andrews, you described the scenes and sounds of the Taliban shooting and brutalizing of Afghanis outside the wire of HKIA. How did you and the other service members feel being put in a position of having to stand by and watch while the Taliban engaged in these acts?
Myself and my team in the tower felt pretty useless, especially the Army or someone moved shipping containers about 150, 130 yards in between us and the Taliban and their checkpoint. So guys on the ground didn't always see what was going on, but I mean, we were just helpless. We felt helpless. We passed over to intel. We let people know what was going on, but unable to do anything.
We've discussed, thank you. We've discussed today at length much of what went wrong during the withdrawal, and we've heard the witnesses share their stories about those chaotic and frightening days. My question to the entire panel is, what are some of the biggest questions concerning the withdrawal that have yet to be answered, and what do you think from your experience that we as lawmakers here in Congress need to be asking, and who should be held accountable? If you start, you, sir.
The biggest questions for me remaining from the withdrawal are what are going to happen to I believe the number of the folks who made their way to America, 72,000 of them are on parole. What's going to happen to them? Right, like that question remains unanswered. And the second one is the care team that we've talked so much about that does so well. Their funding isn't secured right now, so the next administration could move away from that, and we would lose all of the lessons learned in the robust public-private partnership that is developed. So those two questions remain very large over this community, and until they're answered, our work will remain largely in this kind of nebulous, difficult period where we don't have certainty whether it's for the Afghans for how they'll continue to live in America, or what's going to happen to this partnership.
Okay, Colonel.
Congressman, I would just say one of the big questions on my mind is how do we help all of these veterans and other volunteer groups hang up the phone? They've been on the world's longest 911 call since this happened, and as we've talked about, they've cashed in their pension funds and retirement accounts, and it is taking a massive toll, not just on their fiscal capability, but on their mental health, and they're not going to quit. They are never going to quit doing this until we figure out how to responsibly relieve them of what they are doing to provide this humanitarian support, and we've got to figure it out.
Thank you.
Gentleman yields.